So I want to share a quick Hasidic story for Parashat Terumah. This is the Parashat of Vasuli Mikdash V'Shachanti B'Tocham, where we are given the command to build the Mishkan, the first sacred space that the Jewish people merited to have. So it's the origin of the Beit HaMikdash and all of our shuls and Batei Midrash, all of the sacred spaces that we have built and inhabited over the centuries, really all have their starting point at this Mishkan that is introduced in this week's Parashat. The story is that when the Chedushei Harim, who was the first Hasidic Rebbe of Ger, moved to the town of Ger, he had been living in Warsaw, and when he accepted the position as Rebbe following the death of the Kutzker Rebbe, he didn't want to establish his court in Warsaw. He thought it was better to establish his court in a smaller town, so they had to renovate the synagogue. They built a large building, and it was packed with enthusiastic Hasidim because his reputation had preceded him, and there was so much excitement when he took on that mantle of leadership. And seeing the crowd gathered in the Beit Midrash of his new Hasidic court, he realized something about a story in the Talmud that is about the temporary overthrow of Rabbi Gamliel, who had been the Nasi, had been the patriarch of the Jewish community in Eretz Yisrael. Famous story in the Talmud that we don't have time to go into in great detail here. He was overthrown, and Elazar ben Azariah was placed in his stead, and then there's a reconciliation. He returns, and one of the policy changes that the Talmud tells us upon the overthrow of Ben Gamliel is that they remove the guards from the doorway to the Beit Midrash. Ben Gamliel had a position that you could only come into the Beit Midrash if you were tocho kabaro, if you were as good on the inside as you appeared to be on the outside. And when he was overthrown, the guards were removed from the Beit Midrash, and they had to add extra benches of seats for the crowds of people who had been excluded before and now were included. And the Talmud says that Ben Gamliel was weeping when he realized how many people had been excluded by his policy. So the question is, why was he weeping? If you had a principled position that you don't belong in the Beit Midrash unless tocho kabaro, you're as good on the inside as you appear to be on the outside, why would he change that opinion just by seeing the numbers of people he had been excluded? A principled decision shouldn't depend on how popular it is. And the Chedushei Harim, the first Rebbe of Ger, realized that Rabbi Gamliel understood belatedly that the experience of being in this sacred space, the experience of being in the Beit Midrash, in the study hall, in the shul, in this place filled with people devoted to Torah and mitzvot and tefillah, that itself can purify someone's insides. And so even somebody who might not have been eligible by his high standards of entry due to his restrictive policy really deserved to enter and to be transformed by the experience of being in this sacred space. I think that's an important lesson of what Suli Mikdash V'Shachanti B'Tocham can mean, that our sacred spaces are not just about who goes in, but also what happens there, how we are transformed by being among other people seeking good things in these holy spaces. Wish you all Shabbat Shalom, and excited to spend Shabbat with you all.